well, does it come down to something as mundane as rain? It's chucking it down here in the east of Ukraine, and at least one regional governor in the east says he does not believe the much vaunted Russian invasion that's been predicted will happen until the rains are over and there's several days of rain to come. Heavy Russian armour, soft ground and heavy rain, it seems, do not very obviously mix well, which leaves the key abiding themes of this war. As you mentioned, that resistance in Mariupol down on the south coast on the Sea of Azov. Also these precision strikes, which, and they are precision, both the Ukrainians and Russian agree on that, on industrial and military targets, rocket attacks, and the indiscriminate shelling of cities.
Dresden, Grozny, Aleppo, now Mariupol, synonymous with the brutality of war visited upon civilians. So far, despite weeks of shelling, this port on the Sea of Azov has resisted. A full-scale Russian assault, but today there are signs that the resistance is all but broken. It is here, in the gigantic Azov-style steelworks, that the city's last Ukrainian fighters have been desperately holding out. The Russians gave them an ultimatum: lay down your arms by 6 a.m. Moscow time today or be killed. With no response forthcoming, it seems the Ukrainians chose to fight on. A Russian Defense Ministry spokesman claimed that many in their number are foreign mercenaries.
According to Ukrainians who surrendered, up to 400 foreign mercenaries are now encircled as part of the Ukrainian group at the Azov-style steelworks. Most of them are European citizens, as well as Canadians. In case of further resistance, all of them will be destroyed.
The full capture of Mariupol, so crucial to the Kremlin's aim of creating a land corridor from Crimea to Donbass, would represent Vladimir Putin's biggest gain so far in the war. But Ukraine's president says killing the soldiers there would end peace efforts.
I think the Russians are making a huge mistake. The destruction of all our guys in Mariupol. What they are doing now will put an end to negotiations.
While the Russians pulverize Mariupol into peace, fighting isn't just confined to the east of the country. Russia claims to have struck an ammunition factory in Brovary near Kyiv in the early hours of this morning. The town's mayor said the strike had taken place, resulting in damage to infrastructure. A miraculous escape for this woman in Ukraine's second city, Kyiv. But at least 5 people have been killed and dozens injured by shelling here over the weekend. Prompting this show of defiance, the bust of Marshal Zhukov, hero of Stalingrad's defeat of the Nazis, torn down and carted off. Meanwhile, as the horrors continue above ground, many Ukrainians are continuing to live below it. 77-year-old Olga and her grandson Tim, just 2 among dozens in this underground shelter in the eastern Luhansk region. They've been here since early March, and if the fear and darkness weren't enough to contend with, the damp is beginning to tell.
It's very wet here, so that's why lots of people were ill, lots of people. Coughing and other symptoms and so on and so forth. And the worst thing was that we didn't have enough medicine to cure.
Easter. Death and the affirmation of life. For the people of Bucha who survived the killings that took place here, a time to mourn their dead. The Pope today spoke of an Easter of war, but this conflict looks set to last rather longer than that.
Well, now, the outcome of Mariupol was always going to be of enormous military significance in this war, obviously, but the politics have now been ratcheted up by President Zelensky, as you just heard there. He has staked the future of the peace process, such that it is, the negotiations towards peace, on whether people come out alive or dead from that final redoubt in the Azov-style steelworks. So an enormous amount riding on that. And don't forget, although the hopes have been very small in these peace talks, there have, from both sides, been some glimmers at various points of some degree of progress. Mariupol may well dictate how that process now unfolds. Back to you.